Welcome to EndGoal.
We're two women in our 20s on a mission to demystify self-growth and master our own minds.
Our show is designed to help you train your mind and become a better version of yourself.
Join us as we tackle the topics others shy away from and provide you with practical tools to transform your mindset. Let's do this thing! Okay, how are we feeling?
I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling like we're getting back into the groove of what we committed to do. So I feel good.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel so good now.
I feel so good with our new tabletop.
With the thing I've been waiting for every single time.
I know. This was the first thing I think you ever bought for EndGoal.
Yeah. I was like, this is the vision.
Before we even knew the name.
Wait, yeah.
We just knew
this.
Fierceness.
Lioness. So I think we should get into it.
So let's get into it.
So we were thinking about what our first episode back would look like, sound like, what we would say, how we would approach this, and I just thought that we could address what we've been doing last month. Mm-hmm. We can address where we want to go, and then also get into a little bit of our personal brands and what we want to just let shine through EndGoal.
Yeah, why we've been in the darkness.
Building.
What we've been building.
Yeah. So I think we can just kind of begin with welcoming everybody back. I think it's been a time
Welcome back.
that I've missed so many. Just talking about our mind, talking about the gym, talking about where we are, what we want to do. Honestly, we're getting reps to just speak more, which is really nice.
It's been a very skill building process, more so than I thought, because we're not just learning about how to podcast, but we're learning about how to openly talk about subjects that we've navigated by ourselves, but I've never really had to articulate it out loud before. So I think that's been super interesting to me to see it's been a while since I've reflected on a lot of this stuff that we talk about. So it's interesting, when we bring up a topic around confidence or consistency in the gym that's become pretty automatic now. It's interesting to reflect on and be like, oh my gosh, that really is how it felt like when we started. And just to analyze our journey has been pretty rewarding in that way. And I didn't really think, when we started, I just thought we're going to learn how to podcast. But we're learning how to really dig in there.
Well, yeah.
Get deep.
Well, just we talked about this when we got back to talking about EndGoal and looking at how our gym life at the beginning of it, how it reflects what just happened in the last month, right? Just because you miss a workout doesn't mean you stop working out. Doesn't mean you just let go of your fitness journey.
Exactly.
Right? Just because we have not been here for a month doesn't mean that we're just going to let go of all of the things that we've been talking about. It's okay, you kick your butt enough, you realize where you can be more efficient, where things went wrong, and then you just go.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, just go.
Yeah, it reminds me of these videos I've been seeing where it's fitness related, but it could be anything, and they do videos where they're saying they're pouring a cup of coffee, and they're this is the same thing as saying, oh, I missed a workout, I'm just not going to work out all week. And it's them pouring a cup of coffee, and then they just keep pouring it to overflow, and it spills on the floor. Ooh. Because it's why? It's just that feeling, or the idea of there's no reason, just because you mess up one thing, there's no reason to just throw it all and throw the towel in and give up. Yeah. But if you applied that mentality to anything else in life, it wouldn't work. It'd be oh, my car I missed the date for my car's oil change, I'm just gonna never get it changed again. Mm-hmm. Your car's gonna break. Mm-hmm. So it's taking that, if you applied that mentality to anything else, it wouldn't work. So it's interesting, people apply it to health and fitness so much, but I just think it is an easy way out.
Yeah. So before we go into what we've been doing separately, we should probably dig into what we want EndGoal to really reflect, because I briefly mentioned that. We briefly mentioned how, we're not giving up, and just because there's been this or that and it's not as present and as much as a priority as we would have liked it to be, that doesn't mean that we're giving away the goal, which is one of the end goals of our EndGoal is to absolutely create this space where people can feel safe to try and to pursue the do mentality, right? And it's like,
feel safe to try.
It doesn't matter how many times, like, if you tell, not you, but like if anyone tells me
I'm gonna do this, and they don't, it's okay to fail.
And then makes you feel bad for failing. It's like,
no, it wasn't not about that
here. No, it wasn't a priority, and here we are. Let's move on. So I also really want for this next season of EndGoal, which, by the way, we're making it to episode 21 minimum. By the way,
this is 9.
Yes, and so what I wanted to say is that you and we're really going to reflect on our own personal approaches to fitness and lifestyle and cooking and health and all the things, because we want to bring light into how everybody has their own approach for this, right? We always, that's how you and I started, laughing at the fact that we have such wild approaches, but
we're so different in the way that we approach health and fitness that's why I think this podcast has so much potential to be so interesting and valuable, because it's going to present 2 different sides to fitness and health, but it also is, we want to show that, because we want to show that it's not just 1 or 2, it's hundreds. There's hundreds of ways, thousands of ways to approach health and fitness, and we just want to prove that, although on paper we probably look really similar, age, demographic, where we live, opportunities, life, whatever, but the way that we see things is completely different, but we're both healthy individuals seeking fulfillment.
Right.
So we just want to show everybody that it's possible, that your life doesn't have to look exactly like me or Kristen's, but that there's a path for you that you can mold yourself by taking things that we say and then applying it to your own life in a way that works for you.
Exactly. Carving your own position in fitness and lifestyle. How does that look like? But just being fierce with it.
And we want EndGoal to be the community where you can carve out that path and you can fail and you can ask for help and you can find support here. And when you listen to our episodes, we hope that it sheds light on just how much we can relate to you and how we have experienced everything under the sun in terms of self-growth and failure and mistakes and recommitting again and changing our goals and changing our dreams and how we're just learning how to be an adult and navigate our 20s and stuff like that. So we want this to be a very relatable space, I think, for everyone as well.
Emphasize failures.
Emphasize such as let's reframe. Last month, we didn't show up and we didn't record and we didn't make content.
Yeah.
And we could have either said, well, we failed EndGoal and never come back and just say that was a fun project, but I don't have time for it. But we both got together and we were like, what are we doing?
Right.
And we snapped out and we reframed it as this is a low for us, but we're going to bounce back and we're going to re-strategize. And I think that's the thing. We're not beating a dead horse. We're re-strategizing. We're coming back better. We have a new angle. And if this doesn't work, we're going to re-strategize again.
Exactly. That, I want to put an emphasis on what we did, because you and I both realized we both had our own reasons for EndGoal not being a priority. And at the end of the day, you could just say, well, you don't care enough, probably. And then, but it's no, that's not true. But the reason we put other things as priorities, which for good reason at the time, but ultimately, why did we do it? And we went really back far into that mental space that you and I both have been, where it's okay, if we say we're going to do something, then it says that we actually have to do it. And then also, I asked myself, am I scared to say that this is what I want to do, say that this is where I want to be successful, because like I'm scared of success in a sense. I don't think that makes sense in the
No,
way
it
that
does.
I just described it. But it's like, yeah, it's like if I actually do the things that I say I want to do, then I'm actually committing to me possibly being successful. And I don't think that phrase ever gets like brought up normally, because it's like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
why
and
would
there's
you be
so
afraid?
many obstacles that will come up from when you, and this isn't just EndGoal, this is like for anybody listening, this is anything that you commit to. We talked about this earlier about how I have been setting goals and like unintentionally self-sabotaging them and not reaching them,
right,
because it's this fear of like I'm committing to something and like what if I am successful and what that means. But then there's also the fear of like, what if I'm not successful and what does that mean? And all these obstacles from starting to success, there's so many questions that come up of, am I worth it? Can I do this? Do I have the resources to do this? What if I fail? What will people think? Like all of those things pop up along the way in one way or another. But when you commit, it's that underlying knowledge that if you truly commit, you will have to face all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think that can be intimidating for a lot of people, but that's, I think, another reason, or if not the reason why we want EndGoal to exist, is like for that journey, we want to kind of be your guys' internal monologue throughout the whole thing, because we've experienced it and we continue to experience it with new goals that we set. We're always going through that process over and over again.
Exactly. And also on that point, where EndGoal can be useful for people is like when I felt paralyzed personally, like mentally, physically, all those things from fear, I needed somebody to be like, what are you doing?
Like,
what are you
go.
doing?
Log in.
Right. And that actually happened a lot to me this last month. Like in my personal life and also in my business life. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? And it was just kind of like, I've had mentors speak to me about these things and I need that up front, and I need to be like, no, I'm not serving myself currently. I'm not serving myself to the ultimate potential that I could be. So how do I get there? Mm-hmm. So I think we should bring up I'm glad we brought up the fact that having those questions and being like, oh, okay, you said you were going to do something, you didn't do it. Now, why? Let's figure it out and go. That's it. Move on.
And maybe you keep hitting the same obstacle over and over again. Like I know for us with EndGoal, our biggest obstacle was time and efficiency. And I think that that's super relatable to everyone else in fitness, because I would say arguably the number one excuse for people who don't prioritize fitness is because of lack of time.
Right. And
so with EndGoal, we weren't efficiently using our time and we weren't organized in that way. And so we realized that that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It's like that was our biggest obstacle, and that's what kept preventing us from having a consistent schedule.
Right.
So instead of just saying like, well, I don't have time, it's not going to work, we re-strategize. And now we're here and we're back. So with people who are using time as an excuse to not work out, it's kind of the same idea of like, well, let's re-strategize. It's not that you just don't have time, period, and that's it, and you'll never work out.
Right.
It's like, we got to rethink this whole situation and put it at the top of your priority list.
Right. So either look at why you're doing something, because this could be gym, this could be anything that you want to incorporate that elevates your health or
could
lifestyle.
Be, family, relationships, anything.
Analyze your why. Make sure it's you that wants to do it, because that's one of the first questions that you and I asked each other. We're like, why do we want to do this? And then analyze how can we switch our systems of getting to that goal
to serve that why.
That why, and then just do it better and like not do the same mistakes that we used to do.
Exactly.
So here we are. And I really want to get into now in this new season to how you and I just reflect more of us personally and understand how you, Raylene, and I love how your Instagram says simplify our fitness, right?
I'm glad that you like that, because I threw that up there and then I realized I had already changed, Instagram has you can't change your name twice in 14 days. And then I was like having a night where I was like, oh, I don't
There's
know
no
if I
going
like
back.
it. And then I went to change it. I was like, oh no. But now it's growing on me a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I want to talk about it. Because I think...
We'll talk about it when we get to, like, our personal brands.
Yeah.
And stuff. Which could be right now.
Yeah, I was going to say right now. Can we go right now? So I have a few questions for you, Raylene.
Okay.
Because, yes, we want to reflect a little bit about us personally and also reflect, again, where you can have multiple different ways of approaching fitness and approaching a healthy lifestyle and approaching this and that. And we're not telling you which is the best way. We're just trying to show you that no matter which way you move forward in this movement of of building a healthier you and a healthier mind, there are failures, and that there is growth, and that it's okay to do all of that, and that it's hard and all those things. So let's just take a quick peek into the life and the mind of Raylene.
Okay.
And let's understand. Let's
understand.
And the
Let's
fans and the followers, which, by the way, we need a name for you guys.
Yes.
We were thinking about it.
If you're a listener and you have a good nickname for EndGoal Pod listeners, we need, like, one term that just covers all you guys so that we can have an endearing way to refer to everyone.
Right.
Because we would love that.
Because we love our listeners. But yeah, so listeners and I want to know how, because you've gone through why you've started fitness before, but what has brought you, and by the way, for those that don't know, Raylene has started this resilience movement, and I want you to get into what that means, who your target is, and, like, why.
Yes.
So you could just start wherever, and then I'll...
So, for people that don't know that listen, I, a year ago, started a class at the gym that we currently live at, Headstrong Fit in San Luis Obispo. You guys should definitely check them out if you live here. But it is a all-women's intro to weightlifting and fitness class. It's completely free at the moment, and we actually have one more, and then we're relaunching in 2025 with a new structure. But the whole reason I started the class was because I felt deeply called to do something with young women where they were given some sort of tool that would help them navigate through difficult times in their life. And for me, that's, for as long as I can remember, always been fitness and the gym. And it's been my rock through a ton of difficult times, and I feel like even on the worst days that I can remember of my life, I would go to the gym. And in a lot of ways, I think that shaped me and maybe saved me in a lot of ways, because I always had a place to go where I just felt like I'd clock in and do the exact same thing, and I could kind of just forget about the world for like an hour, which is so underrated, I feel like, in today's world. People that don't have that opportunity, life can be really overwhelming. And I think that I felt really called to show women that that was a tool that they could have. Whether or not they were going to seize it and dive in is up to them. But I basically wanted to just open the door and make fitness seem really approachable, especially weightlifting and the gym, for women. It started off as I thought it was going to be mostly young women in their late teens, early 20s. And then I started the class, and I had a few people that would come in and they would be in their 40s or 50s, and they loved it. And I thought that was really eye-opening for me to just show that everybody needs this. And there's women of all different walks of life and times in their life that are still looking for something like this. And that's been a really cool part of the process, is that movement is for everyone. But especially anyone who just feels like lost and like they don't have a system and they don't have kind of like a center. I wanted fitness to be that for them.
Right.
So that's kind of why I wanted to start it. But yeah.
So what you do is you set up a class every week, which has been going on for
a year.
A year now.
Yeah.
And you've created this space, this literal space, where you teach women, all walks of life, to learn how to do a certain movement in the gym, and like you just run this entire hour filled with locking in and exercising, and probably you hit different phases of training and
we do all different types of modalities of fitness. It's also open. Girls can just come and use the open gym. They don't have to listen to me yap all class. They can just put their headphones in and go use the gym as well, so that they can get comfortable. And the gym is closed when this happens, so they can get comfortable using the equipment, learning how to lift weights without worrying about who's looking at them. There's no crowd anxiety, anything like that. It's just like, get used to it. Because I think that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of women don't go to the gym, is because it's this intimidation of starting and having people look at you or feeling like people are judging you, which 99% of the time they're not. But I just remember like starting at gyms and you're just like, I don't know where anything is. I don't know how to use any of the machines. I don't know where the machines are. I feel silly walking around. And so I wanted to also offer that time of just like, come be here. Even if you just walk on the treadmill, like just be here.
Yeah.
And get used to the space and get used to the feeling of just coming and showing up and doing something for you. And my vision with it, 2025, is to be much more community-based. I want to kind of take it outside of just working out and build this community of women who are committed to learning about themselves and growing in not only a physical way, but a mental way, because I think that those are so deeply, deeply tied together. And I know that we'll talk about that with your personal brand as well.
Yeah.
But I want there to be kind of a more holistic approach to fitness with resilience, because there's so many factors that tie into working out, and it's not just about showing up for 1 hour. It's every choice that you make every day can lead you further or closer towards your goals. So right. I'm hoping to offer that as a resource to women who are just looking for some sort of personal purpose and to do something for them and to feel fulfilled in that way, so that they can go out into the world and show up for other people with a full cup.
I love that, because it's going after not only helping people physically be more fit and helping them, giving them the resources and the in-person training, but also the in-person just here's all the equipment, here you go, kind of time, space. And then you're also working on the back end of people's minds, which is exactly what, partly is infused in EndGoal. And I just am curious, with this time that you set aside, that you've, like, no one else is at the gym, it's just for these women to build themselves and have that time and all those resources. Is it with the intention to also have them feel more comfortable on the regular hours of the gym?
Yeah.
When
my goal is to work myself out of a job, essentially, with them. Like, I don't want to see you forever. I want resilience to be your cornerstone of your entire fitness journey, and I hope you remember me. But I want it to be your launching pad. And so I want women to come in. You can spend a week with me. You can spend 5 years with me. But my dream is for these women to eventually one day be like, I'm ready. And they sign up for a gym membership and they go and they have this rock in their life forever. And that resilience could be the starting point that they needed to just get going and get comfortable.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal with the program.
Yeah.
But one last thing before we get into Bold Forge is that I really feel like there's not a women's fitness community that is in the middle of the spectrum, in terms of there's really, really gnarly boot camp style things where, they're not really tapping into the mental, other than how much can you take.
Sure.
And then there is which everything has its place, but the softer side, where it's just kind of like, show up, do whatever you want, try as hard as you want or as little as you want, and it's just very open. I feel like there's nothing in the middle where it's showing women that there is a certain amount of effort required to change your life, and that part is hard, and you have to make sacrifices that you're not going to want to make, but that it can still be a very compassionate and forgiving space, and you can feel supported, and it can be warm, and it doesn't have to be this lonely, isolated journey the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of trying to meld those two worlds together, where you feel safe and comfortable, but it's also a place where it's like, you have to want it. And I'm not going to hold your hand through the entire thing. You have to have some accountability, and you have to be able to just put your head down and work and have patience and truly want it.
Yeah.
And I think just having a little circle where that can be born for you is my goal.
Okay, I love that. And it's not, I think, as women especially, it could be construed of like, oh, okay, so you set this time aside and now you're like basically coddling in a sense of this like mentality of like, oh, like it's okay.
It's for beginners kind of thing.
But at the same time, it's like if you don't have that fierceness and then that balance of like, no, you're welcome here, and this time and space is like separate, and not to make you feel like we're just trying to hold your hand and like never let it go, because I can never be dependent on yourself and like independent. But you're just basically saying like, no, these tie together, and you want them to leave resilience with that fierceness and that knowledge of like, no, I just persevered through the tough beginnings parts of fitness and like conquering my mind and showing up even when I don't want to, and showing up with that community of women to build that and like just reflect on how beautiful it is to be a woman in fitness.
Exactly.
I love that.
I'm behind you, but I'm not holding your hand, but I'm shouting at you to keep going.
Yeah.
Is essentially like the role that I'm taking with this is like, I will be there to catch you when you fall, but you have to get up on your own. That sort of thing.
I think for anyone listening too, if this interests you in this mindset or this community, reach out to EndGoal, reach out to Raylene, and
you can DM EndGoal on Instagram.
Even if you're not in the Central Coast of California area,
we'll do remote. Yeah,
just even asking questions or just kind of putting yourself out there. It at least this is a message that I wanted to hear when I first started fitness. To realize how and recognize how courageous each action is, even by like sending that DM to you, even by like being like, hey,
even if you guys just want to chat, you don't want to do personal training, you don't want to do group training, you're not ready yet. If you just want to talk about it, about the journey, about how to start, I'm more than happy to do that. We could call, we could DM,
or even
anything that you guys want.
Just be like, hey, this is my goal. Like,
yeah,
I hope to talk again, or just like reach out. But no, I love that.
Well, thank you for deep dive into Ray.
And deep dive into Ray time, resilience movement, the simplifier of fitness. Oh, I love it. It's such a good message.
So let's talk about Bold Forge and Kristen Bold.
Who's that?
Let's get deep. Now we're gonna turn the tables. I'm gonna talk to Kristen about her personal brand, Bold Forge.
I suddenly just got busy.
And the episode has to end.
Just kidding.
But, so, I want you to share, similar to how I did, I want you to share your vision behind Bold Forge and who you're serving and your kind of, why did you start Bold Forge?
Absolutely. So, I've brought this up sporadically throughout the episodes, and if you know me personally, I've also been very open and real about my struggles when it comes down to mindset, not playing a victim, just doing what I say I want to do. And I think that I've learned for context, I've been training in self-defense, Krav Maga. So the Krav Maga, it's an Israeli self-defense. It's one of the most violent that I've ever experienced in my life. And
Kristen's really a teddy bear, though.
Exactly. And having those both sides to you, it's really fun.
It's amazing.
But I've had also experience in Muay Thai training, and then I've been doing a lot of strength training and bodybuilding. But what really started this Bold Forge movement is the point of my life where I felt paralyzed to move and to work on myself, because I felt like all the energy that I had in my body was just going to everyone else. Mm-hmm. And honestly, at the end of the day, I make my own choices and I have to deal with the consequences. But I just realized that there was no kindness. Like, I was not being kind to myself when it came down to me not having the strength, the physical strength. And what I mean by that is, like, a couple years ago, underneath the pull-up bar, I looked up at the pull-up bar and I was just telling myself the most awful words there was and to myself, like, you're not strong, don't even try, like, walk out that front door, you're not strong enough to be here. Like, so I just felt that there needs to be, at least in my personal life, that every time I had that thought, I've come at it of like, this is uncomfortable, I need to literally just go through the discomfort. And that process of going through the discomfort can look like not just getting your first pull-up, not just getting strong. It's like doing anything that just makes you feel this discomfort, and why do you need to chase it? Yeah. That's where my Forge concept comes, because it's like, coming from that spot of like, everything hurts, everything feels like you're scared to do. Well, how are you going to move past that?
You have to get uncomfortable.
You have to get uncomfortable. You have to understand that there is a point where the only way that I've grown, the only way that I've found and built this new relationship with myself and my mind, and stopped being so hard on myself, was to do the hard stuff, was to commit to doing just a little bit of that hard stuff per day. And then ultimately, I asked myself, what do I really want? Honestly, there's so many things that I want. But all I know is that if I don't work on that part of my brain that goes, you're actually not that capable, and instead, I forge it. Instead, I show up and I realize the mental work, the work that I have to do in the gym, the work I have to do outside of the gym, the work I have to do in terms of like cooking every day just to fuel my body, and just looking at the whole body as in the holistic sense. And then ultimately I got my health coaching certification, which allows me to create this connection from why do we, the concept of Forge, right? Taking something that's so, maybe your life is filled with pain, your life is filled with discomfort, and in the concept of like a blacksmith, and then you're using a hammer to create this potentially this sword or this object like that's a metal object, and you shape it into something beautiful. I just believe that we can all do that in our lives, and we can do that in our health. And if you have a health goal, let's get to it. And what are the things that we can do to be preventative with your health? And honestly, those are the things that people don't want to do.
I know.
I didn't want to.
Preventative health could be
health.
Honestly our next episode, but we can talk about that later, because it's huge.
Absolutely. So Bold Forge is turning into something where it's like, and it is this, what did you want? For me, going back a couple years ago, I wanted to be able to I wanted to build my confidence. I wanted to build my strength. I wanted to be able to walk in. I just want to be healthy, right? And then, but I was looking at that pull-up bar and I was like, I'm not okay with how I'm thinking about this. Yeah. I'm not okay with the fact that I find that this is the most terrifying thing ever. So how can I chip away and create that goal and forge that into just my daily life? So that's kind of the concept of Bold Forge. Is it incorporates health coaching, it incorporates fitness coaching, and honestly, like you mentioned, the mindset to do all of this. It's like you need to. They're
so deeply tied together.
Tied.
To me, in both, even though very different communities that we're building, and like we're serving different groups of people.
Yeah.
We both acknowledge that you almost can't have the high level of fitness without the high level of mental strength.
Yeah.
You will plateau physically if you don't tap into the mental. Yeah. Like, you need that. You need to develop that. It's arguably the most important aspect of fitness, because it's what drives your patterns, your habits, your consistency, why you're getting up in the morning, why you're going every day, why you're eating this instead of that, why you're going to bed early when you don't want to. Like, that's all mental. That has nothing to do with physical. And so it's required. And I think that's why me and you are so big on incorporating that into our fitness coaching, is because we realize that in our life, we would not be where we are without the mental side of fitness.
Well, right. And so when I realized and I started waking up really, because I like to take my training into
Kristen's an early bird.
I'm an early bird. I like to take my training to sort of like the military sense.
Yeah.
Like I just love that, and no one else has to. Like this is just my level where I like to build my mind. But the same mindset that I would be like, nope, snooze. Like, nope, exactly. I don't want to do that. And trust me, I do find it fun, like actually waking up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. and stuff and getting after it. But when I used to do that, I realized that's the same mindset that used to be in the kitchen and making the emotional ties towards food that I was making. And then understanding that the other like habits that I found as bad, I'm not saying they are bad, but they weren't serving me at the time, was it just used that same mindset that I used to use of like, oh, you're just not capable. Like you just need to depend on this, instead of creating that discipline, saying, no, this is what we do now. And just also being so kind to yourself and knowing like why we do the things that we do and just asking those questions.
Exactly. That's where self-reflection, I feel like, is just required. It's required.
So whoever I work with, I want them to know that they're the driver, right? I'm never going to be like, no, you need to wake up at 4 a.m. and blah, 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 and do all this stuff. But I do it because I remind myself what I'm made of. I'm reminding myself that there's so much more I'm capable of. And I'm just not there yet, but I will be.
Exactly.
And so that's what gets me really excited. I love strength building, and I love actually just pushing my limitations. But anyone that,
I was going to say, if you had to say, I mean, obviously both of our communities and Bold Forge and Resilience are open to all. But if you were going to say, like, who does Bold Forge serve and why does Bold Forge exist and for who would you say would be someone that you would be like, come join my team?
Right. My team is filled with both men and women. Mm-hmm. However, I think that the more excuses you have, the more fun it is, and the more that I've noticed
you can
that
get in there and
you all of y'all
magic.
Love working with me, because you're like, you're right? Like you have to have that high ambition to have a why, that is a greater purpose in life of like, oh, there's a reason that I'm going to push myself to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There's a reason that I'm going to push myself to be to in this discomfort realm. So if you have that purpose, that greater purpose of like, if that could be even just, it could be anything, right? Mm-hmm. It could just be your want and desire, but you need to have a why with me, and then we can make that together. Like we can just talk about it. I reach out to people all the time. Hey, why do you do the things that you do? In a way of like, I'm just genuinely curious. I just want to know like why people do the things that they do, and what drives them, and what they love, and why they push hard, or like what their goals are. So I think I don't have an easy answer for you. I could say that.
Well, I think you answered it perfectly.
Yeah. The best person is just the one that just wants to work hard, and maybe let's say
they know they have a lot of excuses, and they know that they need to get in there.
Exactly. Because if you want your performance in other areas to improve, okay, like what you do in one area is how you will perform in the other. So exactly.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
And so I want all the people in my close circle, I want them to call me out every single time, and they do. And they're like, hey, this side of you doesn't reflect the other sides of you. And so I'm like, okay, it's building time, it's forging time. Like that's okay at that point, but it's not okay to keep it there, because now I know there's an issue, and now I'm gonna, if I decide like that's important, it's going to be worked on.
Well, and I want to say something about Bold Forge that I noticed when you were talking about it, and the moment under the pull-up bar, and you're kind of saying you were in this space and this negative mindset and limiting self-beliefs and negative self-talk, but there was an inkling of you that recognized that you didn't want to be there forever, and you knew deep down what it would take to get out of that. It was just having the courage to actually take action and do it.
Exactly.
And I think that anyone listening to this that is like aligning with your story right now and relating to it is people who are very comfortable in their life, but they know that they want more. They know that they could do more, but they don't know how to have the courage to do so or how to take that next step. Because, you know, it might be because they're just have them and their negative thoughts and they've never had anyone to go in and break that up for them and show them that they're capable. And so I think that is like kind of a huge part of Bold Forge is knowing that you're capable of more and you are the driver behind finding the courage to pursue it.
Exactly. Each person that has even the courage to be like, no, I know there's more.
I need more. Yeah.
There's more. And it's not this, well, I mean, I do get obsessed sometimes of like my own personal goals, but you don't even need to take it to the competitive level. You don't need to take your fitness to the most elite thing. It's like, no, if you feel that little in your, like, around your heart area of that, like, stuckness of, like, wait, I could, like, what more could I do? And then you just want to investigate that, you want to navigate that, yeah, contact me, because I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I just want you to, want you to literally reach your goals. And ultimately sometimes, and that's what I wish I had when I was younger, I wish that I could feel, like, just fearless. I wish that I could, because I didn't all the time.
No.
And I wish I could just have that person be like, hey, you feel this way now, just wait.
You won't feel this way forever. Like, it will get better.
But it won't get better if I don't do anything.
Exactly.
It will get better if I
with action
stand underneath that bar and I jump up and I grab it and I keep missing it and I keep getting that, like, so I want that person that maybe didn't, who knows, maybe you had the best role models in the world, maybe you didn't. Ultimately, you're the driver. You're the driver, and to reestablish that kindness with yourself, to be like, no, there's a greatness inside of me that I can achieve, and whatever that looks like for you, however far you want to go, like, that's totally your choice. But
yeah, and I want to take a moment right now to just put a spotlight on how far we've both come, because I want to kind of show people that, I mean, you're 21 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 23 years old. You're in college. I graduated college. We're doing our life. We're figuring it out. We're taking the entrepreneurial route. But us a year ago, 2 years ago, were completely different people. And we didn't get here just by waking up in the morning and making a better choice. We got here with the help of a good community, with trainers, with reading books, with doing the work, with journaling, going to church, like doing all of these things where there's no shame in reaching out to one of us, is what I'm saying. Because there's this sense when you start of like, oh, I gotta start this journey all on my own. And yes, there's definitely periods of time where you need to be solo. It's you versus you.
Right.
And you go all in. But we didn't just get here completely by myself. Like, you changed my life. Our friends changed our life. This gym changed my life.
Right.
And so I just want anyone listening who's thinking about maybe getting a trainer or getting a life coach or a mentor or joining a gym, that you don't change just internally. You change when you change your environment, when you change your habits, when you change your resources. And it's okay to reach out and ask how to do that.
Yes. So that's I would say that's a really good call to action, right? It's like, we're here not because we like to hear ourselves talk. We're here, we're talking because...
I actually really don't like it.
No, right. And I'm here, like, and you kind of see us getting better at this thing. We're not trying to be who we're not. And we are just exactly just doers in the same journey that you are. And why not? Why not present yourself of like, hey, this is what my goal is. Like, let's go. And just why not? And that's your call to action today. It's like, just go after whatever you
do
are.
Something.
Exactly. Whatever you want to do and like fix or like I preach alignment in yourself.
Yes, because I like that.
That's what I wasn't feeling before. I was like, because that part of my brain was like, nope, you can't. And then the other part was like, yeah, you can. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so...
Yeah, but your life was living in the I can't
and
mode.
I can't, yeah.
So obviously you were never going to get to I can until you change certain things in your life.
Right.
You're not just going to wake up one day and be like, I can. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it.
And a lot of stuff, honestly, I did have to force myself to be like, choose better words to tell me. Like, even recently, I'm like, okay, I can't stop, or I can't keep saying awful things to myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, You just have to, okay, you messed up there. What are you going to do about it? Let's learn. Go.
I have a tip, actually, that you might find interesting, but I learned this in therapy, and it's something that I do now when I'm in, like, a very negative self-thought spiral. And this has been coming up in the last week, like, to multiple people. I've told them about it. And it's a strategy that my therapist told me, and she's like, when you realize that you're spiraling and maybe you are thinking about, you're overthinking something, you have anxiety, you're putting yourself down, and you realize you're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
She told me you have to break it up and do something you wouldn't normally do. Change your shirt. Go get a glass of water or juice. Go to the store and get a bag of popcorn. She's like, do something random to break it up so that your brain's like, oh, we can't do that. I have to think about popcorn. Like, it forces it to just stop and to completely pivot to do something you wouldn't normally do. So that could be a helpful tip of the day for anybody who maybe feels like they constantly get stuck in negative self-thought patterns.
Yes.
Is realize it's happening, and right when you realize it's happening, do something you wouldn't normally do. And I seriously, like, changing my shirt is something, like, super easy.
Yeah. No,
put on a sweatshirt that you don't normally wear. And you'll realize
Boom.
It's really hard to go back into that negative thought spiral because you're like, oh, I haven't worn this sweatshirt in a while. I wonder if this goes with my outfit. And you start thinking about other things. So it's simple, but it's helpful. So if anyone tries it, let me know if it works.
Let us know. Yeah. I mean, I've kind of done some sort of variation of that.
Yeah, but breaking it up.
Elephant. Think about popcorn. Okay.
Should we do our card and end it off?
I was going to say,
they're right behind,
We are ready to do our last segment.
Thank you guys for welcoming us back with open arms. Who knows if you will, but we are expecting that you will.
There's actually no option.
There's no option. We're back.
LOL.
And we're going to do How Deep Will You Go card game.
Okay, so you get to learn a little bit more about us because that's definitely not what you've been doing this entire time listening to us.
Not the last 45 minutes.
So we got wild cards. Wait, that's confessions.
I think we did level 2 last time.
We did confessions?
I think so.
And then we did, there's icebreakers.
But maybe we should go back to icebreakers because it's been a while.
So we should do 2?
I think we do 1 and we each answer it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Because we have so many episodes to get through, we need each of those cards.
You're right. What's a place you need to travel to before you die? Also, that's... Okay.
Okay.
I'm getting nervous.
Mine would probably be Croatia because I have family there that I've never seen.
Oh, I love that.
And never met. And my brother went recently for his honeymoon, and he got to meet like our cousins and stuff. And he said it was a really cool experience. And I feel like I've always had like this deep inner drive that like I need to go there, and I think that it could be a really transformative trip if I went. When I go.
When you go. Sorry, yeah.
Might be.
Might be, guys. I love that. Send me a postcard.
Oh, for sure.
From there.
You already went to your motherland.
I was gonna say
Kristen went to Romania.
I went to Romania
recently.
Where my family's from. A place
Disneyland.
No, I was gonna say I love Boston so much. I'm not even gonna pick a European country.
You've never been?
No, I've been.
Oh, wait, you can't say that then. You have to go. Has to be somewhere that you need to go before you die.
Okay, but
somewhere you've never been.
But this did not say that. Okay.
Do you need to go back? Is that what you're saying? You have to go back before you die.
I need to go back before I die. But I guess if I'm not gonna pick.
What'd you like about it?
Everything.
Really?
That's
Do you think you could see yourself living there, like moving there?
Just for a little bit, I think so.
But not forever?
Probably not. Different. Yeah, I don't know. But maybe I've always wanted to go to London. I've heard mixed things, but
Europe experience.
I just need a little Europe experience. Yeah, probably I would want to visit wherever.
Well, Boston seems super doable in this next year if you want to put that on the calendar.
Anyways, no, honestly, I don't. Yeah.
Well, anyway, there you have it. London, Boston, and Croatia. The trip of a lifetime.
I don't know. If you live in Boston, then that's, yeah. I'll be out there at one point in my life. Okay.
Well, EndGoal Pod, it's been so real. We're so happy to be back. Feels so good to talk to everybody again. And
let's get after it.
Let's get after it.
Oh my god. Yay!
Oh my god. Okay, let's hope my phone recorded.
Hey, you're awesome.
Oh my god, it did.